G'day guys, Casey here from Lured In Fishing. Today I would like to run you through what I look for when I'm picking out an entry-level beach or surf fishing outfit. So, plenty of options when it comes to a rod and reel for this type of fishing. There are some really key important points that are definitely worth keeping in mind when selecting your first beach fishing / surf fishing rod and reel combo. Now, you don't need to spend a heap of money on it. You can pick up some really good pre-made surf combos just like this one here, which are already put together, ready to fish for a reasonable amount of money. As an example, this one here, this retails for about $100. Anywhere from $80 or upwards, you can usually get a rod, reel and line for doing this type of fishing. Obviously, depending on your circumstances and how far into it you want to go, will depend on what you want to spend and in turn the type of rod and reel that you will get. Be mindful, once you're spending kind of over that $150 to $200 mark, you'll often be matching up a rod and a reel. So you'll be purchasing two separate products, putting them together to make your combo. Under $200, you will often find a lot of pre-made put together things just like this one here. So, key things that I look for with an entry-level surf rod. 2-piece or 3-piece rod. Being long rods for surf fishing and beach fishing, you want something that you can still travel with relatively easily. Something that you can still fit in the car or in the caravan, something that can pack away, and being at least a 2-piece rod will make that a lot easier. You will often find a lot of longer surf rods will break into 3 pieces. Now, traditionally, the length of a proper beach rod or surf rod for bait fishing applications starts at 12 foot. You will sometimes see people using 10 and 11 foot rods for some lure fishing off the beach, but for bait fishing applications, 12 foot, 13 foot, 14 foot, 15 foot will usually be the types of rods that you will see. Now for your first beach / surf rod, I would not recommend going a 14 or 15 or 16 foot surf rod, as they are a whole lot of rod. They're very, very big. They can be a little bit hard to handle. They're good for particular applications off the beach, like throwing really, really big baits, casting really, really big distance, but that all comes down to timing, and learning with a rod of that size can be extremely challenging. So what I tend to look for is something that is 12 foot long or 13 foot long. Usually nothing shorter, nothing longer. Those two lengths will be ideal for majority of your general purpose beach and surf fishing. So, 12 foot long rod, material is entirely up to you. You'll be presented with two options, one being fiberglass, one being graphite. Now fiberglass rods, really, really durable. For entry-level surf fishing especially, I would highly recommend them. And the reason being, they're super forgiving. If you bung a cast, because we're throwing quite heavy rigs, quite heavy weights, bigger baits, you want a rod that if you do bung a cast and it lands straight in front of you or it overloads that rod, it doesn't just break it. You want something that you can kind of bang and bash around a little bit when you're traveling into spots, something that you can store away with ease, that you're not having to worry about too much as far as damaging the rod. Fiberglass is extremely durable and really, really good for that kind of thing. It's also really well suited to bait fishing. Has a nice, soft, forgiving taper, which allows it to be slightly overloaded with weight. Once again, not damaging or breaking the rod if we do that. And it also allows easy hookups on fish and quite easy to cast with. The rod does a lot of the work and the timing isn't as essential when we're trying to cast big distance with our fiberglass rods. As you start to look at some of your slightly more expensive surf fishing rods, you will encounter a lot of graphite rods. The benefit of graphite rods when surf fishing is being such big, long rods, graphite rods offer a much lighter weight rod. So they'll be the same length as this one here, but they might be even half the weight of this particular rod. So graphite, definitely one to keep in mind when it comes to the weight of your surf rod in your hand, especially if you're fishing with it all day long. Really, really nice to use, very, very sensitive. They're really good for casting distance, but be mindful when it comes to graphite rods, having the correct timing on your cast and casting the correct weight is really, really important as to not damage that rod well. So to start, fiberglass, definitely recommended. As far as reels go, this particular combo comes pre-set up with a suitable sized reel, being a 7000 size, which is relatively large. Now, depending on the brand of reel, the sizes do change a little bit across the board. For surf fishing, I would highly recommend going just an egg beater, so a spinning reel like this, and going something that is quite large. Usually the bigger the better. You want ample line capacity so you can hold a fair amount of line. Essentially, when we're surf and beach fishing, we're trying to cast as far as we possibly can. So the more line that's on there, the better. We want to have ample amount of room for the correct breaking strain line as well. It's no good loading this reel up here with some lightweight light line. If we loaded this up with light line and we tried to cast a big surf rig with a big star sinker, it's just going to pop every single time. We're going to lose our whole rig. So you want to be able to load it up with something that's 20 pound, 30 pound, or even heavier. When we're talking line, usually for surf fishing, starting out, once again, I would highly recommend nylon fishing line. Having that extra bit of stretch and abrasion resistance, it is really forgiving if you do bung a cast, and it is also really easy to use. You can tie it straight to your rigs, you don't have to worry about leader, and it works really, really well for surf fishing. So for a reel of this size, 20 to 30 pound line in nylon is going to be absolutely suitable. If you did want to run a braided fishing line when surf fishing, you definitely can. You just need to be mindful that you're going to need to attach a leader, a shock leader to that line before connecting it to your rig. And be mindful you might want to go slightly heavier with your braided line as its diameter is so thin. So if we did run a braided line on this reel, we could potentially run 30, 40, 50 pound line, absolutely no worries at all. Braided line does have great castability, and when we're trying to achieve maximum distance off the beach, braided line can be quite good for it. It's just that little bit more challenging to use and a bit more unforgiving if things don't go quite right. So, reels. As I said before, the sizes will change when it comes to different brands. If I was, say, looking at your Shimano reels or your Daiwa reels, normally looking at something that's kind of at least an 8000 size, 8000, 10,000, 14,000, even up to an 18,000. Looking at reels like Silstar, like this one here, or looking at, say, a Penn reel or an Abu Garcia, normally looking at something in that kind of 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 will usually be plenty big enough. So that guy there, 12-foot rod, 2-piece fiberglass, 6,000 to 8,000 size reel, 20-pound nylon fishing line. Really, really ideal combo to start off your beach fishing journey. Will be absolutely fantastic for any of your entry-level beach and surf fishing, covering a wide variety of species, from salmon to jewfish to snapper to gummy shark to flathead. Really, really good general purpose entry-level surf fishing outfit.